Okay, so do you mind if I ask you questions?
No, please ask
No,
me.
that's what you're here to do, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, because that's why I will be able to get like more abstract and put uh, more details about you and
Yeah.
explain like why I got inspired by you
Uh-huh.
and what inspired you actually.
All right.
So
Absolutely.
Cool, cool.
yeah,
Do you want to
the,
record it?
can we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think it's recording now. So, do you mind telling me about yourself, like where are you from and all that? How how much you want to tell me?
Well, I grew up in. Um, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Is it recording?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was born in Brooklyn, New York. My family is Haitian. I come from a long line of artists and people who used art for political messages. My great great uncle is Massian Kwaku, who was a big Haitian poet and political leader and writer. My great grandfather, Alexandre Lamotte, was a singer for um, political party um, in Haiti. And so that's kind of in my blood to use music for a message, to use music to activate people. And I think that's always been the case. I've always loved art and moved to Providence, Rhode Island when I was very young. And years later, I met up with Shaka.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, born and raised, and my family, my mom, my dad, both college educated. My pops is a lawyer and broke a lot of ground in historically in Pittsburgh as a lawyer. So, my mom was a school teacher, so I grew up like around a lot of books, a lot of like really a high emphasis on education and music was also a big part of my life. My brother was a musician; he was always playing his bass, starting when he was like 15 to 16. My dad worked in radio for a little while, so he would bring home like records and me and my brother would play those records and look at those records and just imagine like what these people were like. Um, we came up during the time of like MTV and all that stuff, so like that was a big influence on us. And yeah, I ended up going to school, moving to Providence, Rhode Island, and after graduating from there, I met Key.
Awesome. So, I know you mentioned like music like influence you and all these political issues, but is there something specific that keeps you going, or that one thing that makes you? I want to do this. I want to be more successful in this field.
There's a few things, but if I could zero in on something, I guess it's the impact we can make in people's lives. I think our platform is always about how many more people we can reach, how much more excellence we can get out of our work. So, taking time to study, understand how art impacts people, the volume at which it can impact people. Um, and we're just always striving for that. Personally, I know that's how I feel. And then also just like what, what, whatever's kind of curious, artistic thing is curious in me right now. I just want to explore it and see how that plays out in the world. And seeing things from my mind created into reality is an amazing thing.
Yeah, I think for me, just creative, just being creative and seeing things, yeah, manifest. Like that's definitely a inspiration for me. I like to create things. I like seeing them out in the world, and I think the challenge of music or being a professional musician is finding a way to not only create but to like make a living off of what you create. Um, that's not always the most motivating thing. You know what I mean? For me, like a lot of times, it's just like the creative aspect. But we've had to like over the years learn how to turn that creativity into financial opportunity as well, and that's something that I think we've done pretty well at.
That's great. So, if you could compare yourself to an already established artist, who would you be and why? Wow. Was
Like
it
like us individually or like as a group.
like as a group, individually, or yourself to you?
Uh, I think like as a group, like one thing that I want to do for like it's all said and done is like to have like create like a classic album, something that people consider to be like a something that you can choose from the hip hop genre as like as great, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, like the artists that created classic albums, Nas and the Fugees, A Tribe Called Quest, in the hip hop genre, and then there's anyone in any genre that's created something that's considered a classic. Like for me personally, like that's what I want to like piece out on. Like, all right, boom, I did it. You know, created that classic, that thing that you have to reference. When you talk about hip hop, you have to talk about that. So anybody that's done that in hip hop, those are people I look up to.
Yeah. I think someone that always comes up is Bob Marley, um, because he was able to say very significant things, or even people might say serious things, but keep you happy and keep you motivated and dancing and thinking. So someone like Bob Marley is always the what you strive for, I think, for us.
Yeah, that's good to know. So, would Bob Marley be the one who influenced your style, or
One of many.
One of yeah, there's a
one
lot
of
of
many?
people, but he's an important one. But a lot of people have, but he's important.
So, who would be your hero,
Well,
like life or rock? Big truck.
there's so many. I mean, so many heroes. I think anybody that like kind of just embrace themselves and really put themselves out there fearlessly. You know, what I mean, Nina Simone, Grace Jones, Bob Marley. Any of the hip hop, pioneers. So many people. I mean, Lauryn Hill, Erica Badu, so many. So
Yeah,
many heroes, people that you look up to. They were just themselves, and they stood out. People that stood out amongst the crowd. I feel like we stand out because like we're ourselves. That's why people gravitate towards us because it's like it's not cookie cutter. It's not
Yeah,
the same old same.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's something
I
different.
like the dance style that's going on
Yeah,
with
yeah,
your son.
yeah.
Keep dancing.
yeah,
It's good.
keep people happy.
And how do you separate yourself or your band from the other people?
How do we what?
How do you
Separate.
separate?
Separate?
I think just by what he said, by being ourselves, um, our influence. I have a Caribbean background. Um, Shaka has a bit of a Caribbean background too. Um, and I think it's not only artistically, but I think also like work ethic is also something that people don't take into account that allows you to separate yourself from people because people work differently.
It says
So
it's gonna be stopped and
Oh, should I pause it or?
it says it's gonna be stopped here in 5 seconds.